Welcome back to the Rebel's Edge. This is our final Rebel's Edge of the week, as it is a Thursday, folks. And on my 10X hat, there's a little foreshadowing for what the prediction markets are saying. And we'll tell you what foreshadowing means for those of you who don't know, as well as a little bit about Contango and VIX on today's Rebel's Edge. Bang.
Well, the bang has changed a lot this morning already, John, from what looked like a pretty daggone strong start to the Nasdaq really kind of falling apart. Yeah, absolutely. So not much bang for them.
Yeah, only a bang for the shorts. And we have an expert on shorts coming on in just a moment, Pete. One and only Geoff Garbacz.
Yeah.
But let's dive right into like Pete said, we started off strong and then we quickly sold off, folks. And now both Dow and Nasdaq are down about 350 points. So not exactly a banger for the bulls. But I'm going to say, Pete, that the quote that I saw that I'll kick off macro with is that the current sell-off in software stocks like ServiceNow yesterday and a bunch of the stocks that were down, CRM, which is Salesforce and so forth. What these folks have been doing is people say, well, with artificial intelligence, you're not going to need software. And the chairman of Constellation Research says, not so fast. They are now undervalued, not overvalued, and people are overreacting. His statement, that's Ray Wang. And, when Wang speaks, people listen.
You're damn right they are. They're listening. Well, I'll tell you what, John, the January home sales, that was pretty interesting because it dropped pretty significantly from December, down about 8%. Was that affecting markets in a terrible way? I don't think so. I think those numbers were out there and the market was still chugging along. But as you just mentioned, I mean, this is really becoming something about AI. It's something about software. And that turn that we are seeing, the turn and burn to the downside of the Nasdaq specifically, that's a pretty massive move if you go from the very top of the day where the Nasdaq was to where it is right now. I mean, we're talking about close to 400, 500 points. So that's a pretty substantial drop. And I think that's something that people better be watching very closely.
Yep. Well, let's dive into your VIX, Pete, because it's been all over the place. I mean, the VIX was in the low 17s early on and very quickly shot up to the highs of the day. I guess with the uncertainty comes higher VIX.
Absolutely. And like you said, John, it jumped up to 18 from 17. It was 17 very early on. Then all of a sudden we get this big jump up to 18. It's like, okay, well, that's not so bad. Now it's getting a little bit more interesting because it's up above 19. And as a matter of fact, it's up about almost 10% for the day in terms of the VIX. So there is some concern out there. It makes total sense of why it is where it is. I mean, you take a look at the S&P, John, and it's up better than 1%. Well, we ought to be better than 16 by a few points or so. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing. Now, the interesting test will be if we start getting even higher and we get into that 20 area, how long are we able to hold on up there towards 20? So that'll be something I think that we'll all be watching very closely. It's Thursday. We've got Friday, of course, but we've got a holiday on Monday. So I would just at least caution folks to pay attention to that and understand what's going to happen for the long weekend.
Yeah. And this wasn't just a pop on the VIX on the open, folks. This has been building throughout the day from the lower left to the upper right as far as the chart goes. Yeah. All right, Pete. I told people about foreshadowing. That's where, you basically do something in a movie or a book, and it's then you realize why they put that scene in later on in the movie. Well, so my little Canadian flag here is because on the prediction markets, this time I went over to Kalshi, we have the Czech Republic versus Canada hockey game. And as Pete and I have said, folks, it's great about being able to trade in and out during the game, just like with the Super Bowl. So as you see there, Canada has about an 84% chance to win this one. And that's almost a certainty, I guess, Pete. But if you wanted to take the other side, you could.
Yeah. I don't know that I would take the other side, just because I think this kind of comes down to the U.S., Canada. I can't even think of who outside of that really has much of a shot, quite honestly, John, especially because of the fact that the Olympics have become a professional sport over many of the last Olympics or whatever. So they're just too dominant here. They just are. And so the combination of Canada and the U.S., I think that that 84%, I mean, I think that says it all in terms of that game with the Czech Republic. And I will
guarantee
be shocked.
you, Pete, when you look around, obviously, Russia, Finland, Sweden, but I do think that the number 1 and 2 in the world, it's up to the U.S. to take it from Canada. But, obviously, I think when we get to that game, if we get to see that, number 1, it'll be great ratings. Number 2, I will be betting on Kalshi when we get there.
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about another guy who we're betting on.
Yeah.
And that is Geoff Garbacz. And Geoff has done great work for years and years, folks. And there he is, coming to us.
Morning.
As close as possible.
Oh, he's leaned back a little bit.
I'm leaning back.
Geoff, what do you got on the short side that you want to address today, sir?
Well, first of all, let's just look at the absolute number of shares that are short. The shorts continue to add. Nasdaq, you can see here our table, we just went above 19 billion shares short. We ended the year at 18.565, and we started the year down at 14.468 billion shares short. And so that's an all-time high on Nasdaq now. New York still has not taken out a little bit of that 07-09 period, but it's getting really, really, really close. And this is a multi-decade high on New York now at 18.658. So it just shows you that in a volatile type of market where it becomes a stock picker's market and you have lots of names down, the shorts are still adding to positions. And the thing that's important about this is at some point, if they overcommit and we start to get a rally, there's going to be a lot of fuel to the fire to take things to the next level, to the upside. So that's what we want to watch and pay attention to. Specifically, looking at the biggest jumps, a couple things stand out. Number 1, they added the most to Walmart. They added 30 million shares to Walmart, and now it's got what we call a short intensity of 100%. And we click on the chart, you can see here. Look at how they've been adding to Walmart as it's continued to go higher. It's almost like every time it goes higher, they continued to add to it. So they're really stuck right now. Now, the most interesting name, I'm just blown away by this, is this New Brew, which is a 13-cent stock. But look at this. They added 19 million shares at 13 cents. You guys know what that means. I mean, if this thing went to $1, I just don't understand it. I'm trying to do some work on it. It doesn't have any options on it, but I mean, crap, at 13 cents, it is an option, right? and it's amazing that like someone would make that big of a bet against a stock like this, you know?
Yeah, because it can only fall 13 cents.
Yeah, but the upside, oh my God, if it goes a couple of dollars, those shorts are not very happy. On the NASDAQ side, in terms of jumps, this ONDS had the biggest increase. It still is, it went up by 33 million shares. Short intensity, 34%. But look at what they're picking on. USA Rare Earth, you know, small cap, got the deal from the White House. They went in. This is really interesting. This is almost like the UOA type stuff, except with short interest. They went into Kraft Heinz ahead of the deal of them deciding not to split it into two. Isn't that really interesting? Mm-hmm. Really interesting to see. And, you know, the stock held in yesterday, kind of despite that. You know, and you can see they've been adding to it. So it's almost like they knew something, but the reality may be people decide that this company is stronger as one than it is two. Also, RR, Rich Tech Robotics. You guys have talked a little bit about that on UOA type of conversations. And, you know, Cipher Mine, they're going after the small stuff. They're being really, really, really aggressive. So that creates opportunities. Once we get back to like a good place where the trend is more to the upside, there's going to be ample opportunities to make some really good money on some of these names. So kind of watching those, but it just shows the shorts are being aggressive, and that's the takeaway from the latest data.
Well, Geoff, as always, thank you very much. Folks, Geoff does this great work with us on the Rebel Squeeze Play family of subscription products that he has. People that are in there are in a great position to take advantage of a short squeeze, which is why he calls it the Rebel Squeeze Play Elite, or
the long squeezes now too, because like if we get into a bad market, playing the long squeeze is going to be like shooting fish in a barrel. It really gets very easy. It is. It's crazy how much money we can make on that side playing some of those names as they fall apart and people are selling them. So we're not there yet, but we've been nibbling on a couple put ones like Palantir we played. We're playing IREN right now. The shorts are just gone from some of these things, and still there are lots of people long. So if we struggle, those things are going to work on the put side.
Well, thank you very much, Geoff.
Thanks again. Geoff. Thanks.
Always great input from Geoff there. And again, Rebel Squeeze Play. If you go over to marketrebellion.com and you want to subscribe and see what Geoff does when you're scrolling through all the different subscriptions, he's Rebel Squeeze Play Elite, Rebel Squeeze Play Pro, and it just depends how many trades you want to be in, because Geoff and his team do a great job with that. All right, Pete, let's dive into Fastly.
Let's do it.
FSLY. So what do? Well, they're a company that delivers stuff through the internet, makes it go faster, hence the name, Fastly. Now, pretty nice pop initially, Pete. Carried this one up over 40% today. And I'll let you break down a little bit of what the EPS was and what their consensus is against forward earnings, Pete. But this was a pretty damned good report.
Yeah, the Q4 part of the report, great. They beat the estimates. They beat them pretty large. So that was something very good. To your point, for Q1, the expectation also they increased over that as well, with both the earnings and the revenue. The full year outlook added some strength to it as well. So across the board, you just look and you say, well, these guys pretty much have hit this thing completely out of the park. And for that reason is why you're seeing the stock today. It was up 40%. Last I looked, it was up almost 62%, John. So people have gotten pretty excited about what's going on with Fastly. So one to keep an eye on. If you're not already in it, I would not probably be chasing it, but I'd certainly have that somewhere on my radar in the future if for whatever reason it gets hit on a day that they're not giving some of these great numbers, because certainly what they're doing is doing the right thing, and they're absolutely crushing it right now.
Well, they help the world's biggest brands deliver online experiences, and obviously nobody wants to see their whether it's a streamer or whether it's gaming or whatever, or even gambling. They want to see it as fast as it can possibly go onto their screen.
Yeah,
and these guys make that happen. Let's talk about NovaCure, Pete. NVCR. So these guys got approved for adults with pancreatic cancer, and it's done in combination with another compound. But again, when you get something like NVCR, Pete, that can prove that they can actually address something like pancreatic cancer, it's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And they talked about the extension of the survival, but they also talked about delaying some of the pain that people go through when they've got these issues going on, John. I mean, this is a home run from the biotech space for sure. I mean, they absolutely got what they needed to get, and the approval side of things. There is some shorts in there, 12 to 14%, people that were betting against this occurring. So that's why we're seeing a pretty healthy move to the upside today. I mean, really strong. And I'll tell you what, this is one of those that it gives you a good peace in your heart, because this is something that people have been struggling with time and time again. And then obviously now there's something that they can do as opposed to nothing. So that's huge. And it's going to be something. I'll tell you what, this company has a very, very nice looking pipeline as well, John. So it's not just a one trick pony. They've got others within the pipeline as well.
And our father worked on kidneys, livers, and pancreas, folks. Yeah. And in fact, had a lot of breakthroughs with that. But anything that can address this really is a gift. And you're seeing a 28% move, I think, or so today. And it seems very well deserved. The total addressable market, sadly, is very large for pancreatic cancer. All right, let's talk QuantumScape, Pete. So these guys slid, and they're still down, I think, about 8%. I showed them down about 12 early in the day, but I think they've recovered to about an 8% drop. Quarterly results showed no revenue, no revenue. You heard that right, from their core business. Well, that's not good.
That's about as bad as it can get right there.
Let me see. What do you guys do? Oh, we do a little bit of this. We do a little bit of that. Really? Okay. And how much revenue did you get from that? Well, zero. I mean, this is solid state lithium metal battery tech, folks. And if they're not selling that stuff, then we have a problem, Houston. And that's what's going on in the stock today.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that the near-term revenue is they have no visibility. I mean, it's like, what in the world is going on? This is one of the strangest that I've seen, John. So I'm just kind of shaking my head, and I'm not sure that I fully understand what it is and the lack of revenue here. I mean, even for 2026 full year guidance, there's a lack of revenue that they're talking about. So there's something interesting going on here. I can't quite figure this one out, but I think it's fun for us to maybe cover and talk about it. But I would say, you know what, you kind of got to back off on this one, because unless we start seeing some UOA, unusual option activity, coming into this one, I can't come up with very many reasons where I'd want to be long this stock right now. That's for sure, especially given what they delivered to us. I mean, that's pretty awful.
Well, I got another awful one then, Pete. Cisco.
Yeah.
So Cisco's one that, for decades now has been one of the tech darlings. And if you look at it from the April lows of last year, when the tariff tantrum was going on, it was $54. Now it exploded all the way up into the 90s, Pete, which, was damn near a double on the year. But right now, it's just getting cracked, and it's down 11% today after they reported fiscal quarter 2 revenue and guidance that was above expectations, but apparently not good enough.
Well, it was above the levels, John, and the estimates that people were going with. I think the biggest problem that they had with their delivery, and they're getting punished pretty good for this one, and maybe well deserved, but they had an issue with profit margins. Now, their gross margins were pretty outstanding, 65, 66%. That's great, right? We would say, wow, that's pretty great. But the problem was, when they look at the outlook, the profit margins just weren't there at the levels that was expected. And that gave people the reason to say, you know what? In the market that we're in, and we know how volatile it can be, and some of these stocks are going to go straight up or straight down. Well, this one went pretty close, as you saw by that chart, pretty close to straight down because of what they're seeing there. Now, is it a major hit of 50%? No, but it was certainly a pretty strong hit. I think it was over 10% to the downside, something like that, John. So that's giving up quite a bit for a name like Cisco to the downside.
Well, unfortunately, Cisco moving like this, if indeed, Pete, they can, let's say they sandbag the earnings estimates going forward, like they may have. If indeed they can come up with a couple pretty good new products. All right, yeah, a little glitchy occasionally here with the Wi-Fi, but Pete, let's take a look at a little video. I think you'll like it, and obviously it's one of my favorite players in the NFL.
Yep.
Caleb
is the betting favorite to win MVP next year. And I can hear everybody already saying, I mean, give me a break. You media people. First of all, he's got two big advantages. He's got a great offensive coach, and his game is fun. This is not voted on by an algorithm. People vote on MVP. Caleb's just different. When people get worked up on the completion percentage for Caleb Williams, my take is I don't get too caught up on completion percentage. If Caleb freelances 6 times a game, I'm comfortable with it. I think it needs to get a little better, but if he gets to 61.5 or 62.5, I'm kind of okay with it. Caleb Williams is the bet.
Yep. The betting favorite right now, Pete, for
That's
MVP
amazing.
next year.
It's amazing, right? Because year one, not so great. All of a sudden you get a new coach, you get all the coordinators and the offense, you bulk up that offensive line that we talk about all the time. And matter of fact, John, that leads me right into what I'd like to talk about with the first side of things, which is the Raiders. Now, we talked about this yesterday, and I wanted to do a little bit of research, or the other day, and I wanted to do a little bit of research and find out, all right, so how does this really pan out? So here's what I'm looking at for the 2026 draft. Now, free agency is one thing. That's where you're going to get veteran players. You got to pay them a truckload of money to do that. And I still think it's pretty important, and they need that, right? I mean, when you get an offensive lineman these days, once you get into free agency, you're paying big bucks to get these guys. Well, if they need anything, they need somebody to help Mendoza out. And if they don't, then they don't deserve anything. But I think that they're smart enough that they're going to bulk up that offensive line. They can't give up 64 sacks again this coming year, or Mendoza's going to be hurt and probably only play like David Carr a couple of years in the NFL. So here's the thing. You go out to free agency, you grab a few. Here's the other thing you do. You take Max Crosby and say, you know what? Let's make a little bit of trade, because people have talked about this already. So this is not just me pulling this out of nowhere. They've talked about, hey, Detroit might want to have a piece of this guy. They might want him back into the state of Michigan, which is where he was from, played his college ball there. So if they were able to do a trade with him, John, and I'll explain why I think that's important. You put him over there with Detroit. The defense was not the problem of the Raiders. The defense was okay. It was the offense and the fact that they were not very offensive. They basically just sat around and basically gave up sacks. The quarterbacks with an S, had to get it out there to the tight end and the receivers and everybody else. They've got the running back. They got their running back for the future. They've got wide receivers. They've got great tight ends. They got one specifically who's outstanding. I mean, the guy's unbelievable. So now you get into the draft part of things. Well, the deepest position in the draft, and this is true, I think, for the Minnesota Vikings as well, that gave up 60 sacks, it's deep at O-line. You better take those guys early because they're going to go. So I think that's something that's really going to be a piece of the puzzle for the Raiders, John, is if they can get a trade or two, get some more offensive linemen that are veterans, and then also do it in free agency, you got a heck of a shot. And oh, by the way, Crosby goes out somewhere in the draft. I want Derek Moore. He's the kid from Michigan that a lot of people are talking about now, but he's not ranked in the top 8, top 10, whatever it is for edge rushers, John. And the kid is an absolute beast, 6'3", 255 pounds. He has great leverage. If you got a chance to watch him in the Senior Bowl just destroy the left tackle for Miami Hurricanes, you'll take a look at that video. I mean, the kid's about 6'7.5", and he weighed about 355 or something like that. And Derek Moore ate him up, just like he did in the Big Ten. He's an all Big Ten edge rusher. Nobody's talking about him because they're deep at edge rushers. But this guy, I think, is special. And I think that he's one of those guys that what he puts on tape is a lot different. And it's why he's so damn good, because He might not have all of the numbers that everybody wants, but the number that I want is a guy who gets under and hits the quarterback, and he does exactly that. The guy's a total stud. What do you think about that, going with the old line for the Raiders?
Yeah, there are plenty of guards and tackles in the draft this year, Pete. And so I think they could, trade a second-round pick and a third-rounder maybe and move up if they see somebody that they want, in the draft. But I think free agency too. Between free agency and trades, I think they can get enough around Fernando Mendoza. And let's not forget, they got Austin Genty sitting back there at running back, and he's pretty damn good as well. So he's not huge, but he is a good running back. There's a reason he had all those yards up at Boise, Pete. And I think he gives them a weapon that opens up the passing if they can, get that offensive line solidified around Mendoza.
Yep, they've got to do that. There's no question about it. All right, one more in the NFL. What team do you think could be one of the turnaround teams for this coming year, the 2026 season? And I'm going to throw this one out at you, and you might agree with this one, or you might have your own. Whatever, up to you is great. Cincinnati Bengals. They went 6-11. Now, why did they do that? Well, it's pretty easy, John. Here's what it is. They gave up the second most total yards in the NFL. They gave up the third most points in the NFL, 29 points. They have the worst NFL of stopping the run. They gave up 147 yards per game this past year on the ground. So what does that tell me? It tells me you're going to go out in free agency if you're smart. You're going to get and bulk up that defense, which is pathetic. We just read off some of those numbers that they've got, which are absolutely pathetic. You got to have a defense. And here's the beauty, John. They've got cap room of $60 million. I'd put all $60 million on the defense. The offense doesn't have a problem. Everybody's talking about Joe Burrow should be traded to somebody and blah, blah, blah. No. You've got one of the best offenses in football. These guys are unbelievable. They've got great receivers, and I think that Burrow's as good as it gets. I mean, when you look at things, they got a decent enough offensive line. He's not getting killed back there. So you go defense, you keep going defense, and you do it in the draft, but you also do it in free agency. They got $60 million to spend. I would put that on defense, John. And then I think this is a team that could win 12 or 13 games in the regular season next year. What do you think?
Well, my team doesn't have nearly as much cap space as the Cincinnati Bengals, Pete. But I'm going to say John Harbaugh is going to turn that franchise around, the New York Giants. Because in the last 2 years, Pete, take a wild guess how many wins the Giants have had.
In the last 2 years, you said?
Last 2 years. They
6?
are 7-27.
Oh, God. That's terrible.
So now they're already projecting that under Harbaugh, they'll win 8.5 games. So basically as much as they've won in the last 2 years. And, you can see why they'd be bullish. A, Harbaugh is a winner. B, Abdul Carter is getting better. And, he is a pretty damn good and highly thought of edge rusher. And then you've got Jackson Dart and a team that Harbaugh is going to build through the draft and perhaps through free agency. Yep. So if you tell me, okay, how are they going to look? Are they going to be another 4-13? I don't think so under John Harbaugh. Now, is it going to be enough to get them to the Super Bowl? I think Cincinnati's got a better shot at that than the Giants. But this is a team that needed a big change. They got a big change, and now they're going to go out there and hopefully win some games and become a threat again, rather than an afterthought for all the teams that play them.
And I'll tell you, they've got a bit of a running game, John, and they have the kid who unfortunately got hurt, but he was having a pretty damn good year.
Scatabo.
Fantastic name. You got to love it. But the guy was playing. He was a baller, and he was executing until he got hurt. And I think I've heard that he's doing pretty good on his rehab. So if he's back, that's going to help out the quarterback, because then you got a running game. And you know what? The Giants had a pretty good running game with him. They were in the top 5 rushing the football. So that says a lot, I think, about Scatterbo and what he's able to do. And obviously, like you said, Jackson Dart at quarterback, not so bad. You put enough pieces to that puzzle together and a damn good coach, you probably can win 8 games. And I don't look past that at all. I don't know that they're going to turn into the New England Patriots, John, or the Seattle, but I think that they can make a major turn in the first year. It's not going to take 2 years. I think the first year they can make a turn. So I think we'll both be wanting to watch that. And, with the draft and free agency, they can do a lot, except for free agency, like you said. They don't quite have the salary cap room that Cincinnati's got. Cincinnati with $60 million, that you can get a lot of big guys who can play football for $60 million.
Yeah, you can. I think the Giants are cap rooms like 10.
Yeah, it's a little tight.
All right. Well, remember, folks, about noon tomorrow, you're going to hear a screeching halt in the market because we are going into President's Weekend. So it means that a lot of option traders especially are going to be dialing forward how much time decay is going to occur from noon on Friday, even though, of course, we trade till 4 in New York until we reopen on Tuesday. So it's a long time, Pete.
Yeah.
And just be aware of that, folks. And be aware that we won't have a Rebels Edge on Monday because of the holiday, but we will be back Tuesday at, Pete?
1 p.m.
1 p.m. Eastern Time.